Is this a symbiosis, or is it just a symphony played by one party for profit alone? This question amidst the glare of the spotlight and cheers of fans when the name of Kim Taehyung, better known as V of BTS, echoes again in the latest releases under the banner of the entertainment giant, HYBE labels. But behind the grand stages and soaring streaming numbers, there are soft whispers that are starting to be heard louder. Is this really a mutually beneficial partnership? Or, unknowingly, are we witnessing a form of exploitation wrapped in a glamorous sheen? Since his debut with BTS in 2013, Taehyung has become an unforgettable face in global pop culture. His handsome face, distinctive baritone voice, and unfakeable artistic aura, all of which make up V's now iconic persona. Interestingly, however, his solo journey has never been completely free from the influence of his parent company. Every solo release, from Layover to other collaborative projects, has the distinct scent of HYBE production. Sleek, grand, and, to some observers, overly calculated. This is where the blurring of the lines between collaboration and exploitation begins to emerge. HYBE, as the largest entertainment corporation in South Korea, has incredible power to shape the narrative and control the career paths of its artists. Taehyung, despite being idolized by millions and possessing authentic artistic prowess, still finds himself in an ecosystem that requires his every move to be filtered by management. The question is he really given artistic freedom? Or are we just seeing a version that has been edited to suit the market's tastes? The fact that Taehyung's solo releases are so curated with such an aggressive marketing strategy is both admirable and suspicious. Many fans appreciate his visuals and music, but many also feel that these works are too safe, too similar to the usual HYBE success mold. In an entertainment world that is increasingly conscious of artist rights, a bigger question arises. Does Taehyung really have control over his work, or is he just a pretty-voiced pawn in HYBE's grand game? One of the most striking aspects is how Taehyung seems to be presented more as a product than an artist. The tight scheduling, simultaneous promotions on multiple platforms, merchandise that immediately follows every music announcement. All of it seems to be a sign of corporate efficiency, not creative expression. Sure, many fans welcome all of this with enthusiasm, but we have to ask, does this reflect Taehyung's desires as an individual? Or is he simply following a script that has been written for him? Even in interviews, we often see Taehyung talk about wanting to make something personal, but still wrapped up in the diplomacy typical of a major label artist. There's no denying that he's an intelligent man with a keen sense of art. But does the system he's in give him enough room for that? Or does it just give him the illusion of freedom? On the other hand, it cannot be ignored that HYBE has given Taehyung a global stage that he might not have been able to achieve without the power of the label. Production support, access to an international network, and the fan base formed by BTS's branding are certainly invaluable foundations. So, we must also ask, is it fair to only highlight the potential for exploitation without acknowledging the enormous contribution that the label has made? This is the great paradox of the modern entertainment world. The line between collaboration and exploitation is increasingly blurred. When a company is so large that it can shape an artist's image in its entirety, even the most personal expressions can become commercial tools. So, is Taehyung and HYBE's relationship a form of mutually beneficial collaboration, or exploitation that goes with a smile in front of the camera? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in the middle, or even changes over time. What is clear is that viewers and fans must remain critical, because behind every harmony there are always hidden notes waiting to be heard. And maybe, one day, Taehyung himself will tell the truth. Not in a press conference, not in an official release, but in a work that is truly his own, unfettered, uncensored. Until then, we can only speculate. Was this collaboration or exploitation? The harsh reality of the entertainment industry is that popularity often comes at a price. While the spotlight is on the stage, the camera, and the accomplishments, what happens behind the scenes often goes unnoticed. Taehyung, now considered one of the most influential artists of his generation, is in a unique position. On the one hand, he is hailed as a symbol of BTS's creative freedom. On the other, He is also a reflection of the system that shapes and constrains them. When the public witnessed his solo debut, many considered it an independent step, a personal artistic statement. But the deeper one looks, the clearer it becomes that his every move remains within the orbit of management control. It's not that his contributions are erased, but that his boundaries are clearly defined in advance. There is a kind of safe zone that cannot be violated, and it is not determined by him, but by an entity greater than himself. The consistency of themes, the near-perfect visual aesthetic, and the choice of songs that seem too polished have led some observers to question whether this is truly Taehyung's voice or HYBE's voice spoken through Taehyung's body and voice. He seems to be the main character in a story that he may not have written himself. And this has not only affected his art, but also the public's perception of who he really is. If we look deeper into his journey, we can find small moments that imply a desire to get out of the big scheme. When he shares intimate photos of his shots, or when he sings old songs with simple arrangements in a private room. It's as if there is another world he wants to show. That world is more vulnerable, more raw, and perhaps more honest. But unfortunately, that world is rarely given a place in official releases. Not a few fans have begun to realize the striking difference between the commercial Taehyung and the real Taehyung. One is wrapped in a luxury label, present on posters and global advertisements. The other appears in between time gaps, in personal uploads, or when he looks silent in interviews. This difference is not just about image, but about who is actually speaking to us through his works. HYBE, of course, has played a big role in making his name famous. But there are concerns that the system is also protecting itself too tightly, to the point of limiting potential that could be much wilder and more unpredictable. In art, surprises often come from freedom. But when everything is structured and designed to avoid risk, what's left is just a reproduction of old successes. Amid the pressure to always be the best, can Taehyung still create something just because he wants to, not because he has to? It's a question that cuts to the heart of every artist's dilemma in the industry system. Are they working for love or because of a contract? Are they creating or just performing? The relationship between artist and agency is inherently complicated. There's a kind of mutual dependence. The artist needs logistical and financial support, while the agency needs the artist's talent and public image. But when the power is imbalanced, one can become a tool for the other. And in Taehyung's case, the feeling that he's being made the face of HYBE is sometimes stronger than his presence as an independent artist. Fans are starting to be divided. Some chose to remain loyal without question, believing that everything Taehyung did was his personal choice. But others began to criticize, raising issues of overly tight control and suspicious lack of transparency. This split reflected how strong their love was, but also how deep their concerns were for the well-being of the artist they supported. Offstage, Taehyung came across as an introspective person. He was not the type to talk much about his creative process in detail, but his gestures and facial expressions often spoke more than 1,000 words. When he spoke about sadness or fatigue, even in polite and diplomatic language, the tone of honesty could still be felt by those who were sensitive enough. The question is, how much space does HYBE give Taehyung to be truly honest? Is there freedom for him to say no to a concept, or even postpone a release for personal reasons? Or is the calendar already determined long ago, and everything just has to be run like part of an efficient production machine?